hello, darling, and welcome to the Just Jax podcast. Hi, I'm Jax, and I help you find the can in your cat. When we challenge our cats, miracles happen, because when I challenge mine of I can't draw, I can't paint, and I can't color, imagine my surprise when I discovered what I can do is create a 21-foot garden mural that was recently featured not once but twice on the front page of our local newspaper. Next up, I challenge the I'm no author, no artist, and no cursive writing specialist, but what I can do is self-publish 3 books for my kick-ass cursive writing curriculum, Crack the Cursive Code. I'm a jack of all trades, but what I master in is helping ordinary people like me to do extraordinary things through laughter, tears, life-changing stories, because metaphors are my jam. Together we can find the can in your can'ts, the do's in your don'ts, and the wills in your won'ts. I'm so excited for you. Let's go. Well, hello, my darlings, and welcome back to the Just Jax podcast. And if you sneak a peek over to my YouTube video, you will see that I am in full turkey costume. Yep, yes, I am. Because yesterday our company has something called a fowl run, FOWL, and it's all about dressing up like a turkey because here in the United States, our Thanksgiving is coming up in a couple weeks and they like to celebrate it now. And I decided the first year to wear a funny little turkey hat, and then I saw this outfit and I just had to have it. It has a fantastic wingspan. You'll see it on the video, and I absolutely love it. But I had an interesting conversation with my younger son for Halloween. I was a piñata, and I absolutely loved it. I colored my face with face paint. I am experimenting with face paint. This time I had stripes across my face, and I had this bold costume, and I just went, Happy Halloween, and I threw candy at everyone. And my son calls me the week after, and he's like, Mom, I never remember you ever dressing up or for Halloween. That was true. I only started dressing up as a ice queen one year for work, and I surprised everyone. That was fantastic. And that gave me a little bit of the itch. And then when we moved into our house here where we had trick-or-treaters, I started experimenting with costumes and face paint and such. I found that I really love being green, and I experimented the year before. I was white, and then I was green again last year, and this year I did the multiple colors. But for the turkey this year, I decided that maybe I could do brown because I bought brown face paint I had no idea why I bought it. I just did. And I guess most subliminally, I'm the type of person who sets myself up for success, that the day I wanted to make my turkey costume, I was able to become brown. So I colored my face all brown. One said that I looked like I was extra crispy, which was fantastic. And then the other one is I was very basted. Very well basted, and I'm like, yes, that was fantastic too. And the joy that it gave people, I can see why when you wear costumes like this, that why people do this, why people would want to be a mascot to a degree. But a mascot can be a little bit more threatening, I suppose. I guess with its presence is all about power and winning and victory type of thing. But this is silly, and so silly has a different energy in my mind than the mascot, but they also can be really fun. But this to me is a lot more fun, and the laughter that I got from people and the smiles, and it really brought me joy. But there was a very interesting part of this because I have this costume, which was great, and I wanted to add to it. And every year, the first year I only had a turkey hat. The second year I had this costume. The third year I colored my face brown, but I'm finding that I really need to learn how to do face paint better. It's really elementary and uneven, and I could do something better with it. Maybe that's my profession, the irony of a perfectionist unable to say the word perfectionist. There is much room for improvement and creativity and art in that medium, and I am basically slapping it on very would be considered a horror show if we were watching, what was that show that we used to watch? Face Off, and where they did a lot of makeup. And hats off to people that make put makeup on faces and make it look flawless and seamless, because it's a lot harder than it looks. And we can discount it because we can watch them just go dab dab dab, but even when you watch some women put their makeup on and how everything just melts in beautifully, it just I have very little skill in that area, and that's why I tend to wear absolutely no makeup whatsoever. It's just easier. Just realized I never explained what this is. The fall run was a 5K, 10K walk, and I chose to do the 5K walk. There were people who were running, and hats off to them. There's no running for Jax at this moment. No, the walk was enough. I knew that having the 3 mile 5K walk, that I was going to need a nap in the afternoon because I wanted to turn back about 3/4 of the way through. And oh no, my girl who goes on 4, 5, 6, 7 mile walks, it just slowed down her pace for me. And I realized that it's been a while since I've done my 5K walk, and I like to do it at my pace. And I used to do it at that pace, if not faster. And those were the days, my friend. And now I need to figure out ways and doing something that lights me up. Everything now that I want to do is because I want to do it. It's something that I choose to do, something that no longer fight myself or make myself or force myself or sacrifice myself or compromise myself to get what I want to have done. So I'm in the process now of really figuring out what I like to do and what my goal is and what I want to do for my goal to get there, and let go of the stuff that the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and really deal with what I want to do and put that as something forward. And it was interesting because I went to my crystal bowl of TikTok, and I love TikTok because on my podcast mornings, I sit and I play my game, the one that I have created many of my I'm the type of person statements with. I play that game and I sit there and I go, okay, it's time to think about what I'm going to talk about on my podcast. And I bring up TikTok and I watch it and I wait. And I usually sometimes I'll get some kind of tarot reading or something like that. But today something was extra special that came on, and it made me realize that I have mentioned this once before in my podcast episode, Healing Modality Salad, and that is EFT. And EFT was created by Gary Craig. And EFT tapping, also known as the emotional freedom technique, is a powerful stress relief technique. Tapping is based on the combined principles of ancient Chinese acupressure and modern psychology. While maintaining your mental focus on an issue, you use your fingertips to tap 5 to 7 times on 9 specific meridian points of the body. Tapping has been clinically proven to reduce cortisol, the stress hormone in your body. All right, well, that is more of a scientific way of looking at it. But for me, I was first introduced to emotional freedom technique by my friend David. I have known him since about 2001. He is one of my long-term friends. Maybe I think he might have been like a brother in a previous life or something like that, because there's never been any interest in him in any other way than friendship. And then that has been very clear for me on many levels. I was questionable whether or not that was clear at one time on his, but it's always been clear for me. And the one thing that we share in common is our love of mind exploration and things that challenge the way we think. So at least that's what we used to be. There's been some shifts in my mind in the way I feel that he has been lately, and I'm unsure if we're on the same path with that right now. But in the past, when we were on this same path, he was introduced to the tapping and I was dead set against it. I'm like, I have no interest in that. And he kept pushing it of how great it was. And it was almost like the green eggs and ham. Would you, could you in a house? Would you, could you with a mouse? Would you, could you here or there? Would you, could you anywhere? I just pulled that out of my ass. I have no idea if that's what the book says, but apparently my mom has a lot of trauma around that story, because that was my favorite bedtime story and she had to read it countless times. And Oh well. That's the trauma of being a parent, because I have two books on my shelf, and they're Farmer Duck and the Beebe Boppy Bird, something like that. I can't think of it. It had to say that story, and my son asks me to read it every once in a while as an adult. I think I'm going to record it somehow so that my grandkids can listen to it while I'm not there, and if they want to pass that story on. But that was their favorite story when they were boys. But I was like, I have no interest in EFT, David, like none, none. And then something snapped, and I decided that I would just try it, because I have no idea exactly like in the book. Maybe it was his constant battering about it, or just finally something shifted within myself that I was open to something different. I have no idea. But I looked into it and tried it, and my first introduction to EFT, really where I was beginning to understand it more, was Nick and Jessica Ortner, and they create a bunch of different meditations that you work through. And if you're watching on YouTube, I can explain it to you. There, you basically tap on the karate chop part of your hand right here, and this is where you're pulling in the intention of what you want to do. But when you're doing this, you're making a statement where you accept who you are and where your situation is. And even if you're in that situation, that you love and accept yourself. And that's the biggest step of the EFT journey, is to begin that you may suck right now where you are in this situation and what you're dealing with. But the bottom line is that at the end of this process, you're going to love yourself. Then you start tapping on certain parts of the body, and top of the head is one. I've seen now with the lady that I saw today on TikTok, she did a fantastic one for me, but she only did one side of it. And I'll explain that in a minute. And she did the center of the forehead, where I have always done over the eyebrow. And then there's a side of eye, under nose, chin, collarbone, um, underarm, and it's not here in the underarm, it's more in the back. And then you go back to the top of the head. And what you do is you start with the karate chop, you set the intention of what you are struggling with, understanding that you are loving yourself through of this. Even though you are struggling with this, you love and accept yourself. You then go through the tapping of how that emotion feels, everything that you're going through. I suck, I'm having this, whatever. And you go through all of the tapping portions, and I'm showing that on the video, that you go through and you tap. And as you tap, you continually purge all of that emotional energy that has to do with that. And after you get scraped to the bottom of everything that you're feeling in there, and you can do it on a small level, you can do it on a big level, and depending on how much healing you want to go through, really is the bottom line of it all, right? Because if you're willing to go to the bottom of it and just feel what they're saying, and if you go through a guided meditation, they put you through different aspects of how you're feeling. If you're feeling invalidated, they'll go through what that is. If you're feeling fearful, they'll go through why. If you're feeling lack, they'll go through that. Anything like that that you're dealing with, they will go through all that portion of it to make sure that the clog that you have in the energy flow, because that's what EFT is supposed to do, is supposed to basically, it's almost like you have a sewer dam in your energy flow in that area where you're stuck with that emotion, and all you have is a bunch of shit sitting there, and it's just getting more and more shitty, really, until you do something. So what that first section of the EFT, if it's a good practicing EFT, what that first section of the EFT will do, will address the shit. And there's no, it's just calling shit. That's it. And you just call the shit. And then you start doing the tapping of the other statements. And then you switch it, the same flow of all of the points, and you flow and you start giving it the Drano to clear out the clog, the shit, the stuff that you've put in there, the stuff others have put in there, the stuff that's was there in the first place. All of that stuff gets clogged out, and you've seen those videos. I saw a YouTube the other day where it just showed how they pulled the clog out and the release that comes afterwards. And that's what this does, is that it gives you this feeling, this release of that clog of what it does. And does it work the first time? Sometimes. I've had that. And so I was with the Ortners for a while, did theirs, and then was introduced to a whole bunch of different people. I went to Hypno Thoughts. It's a hypnosis convention in Las Vegas. I saw live Robert Jean, and you could look up Robert Jean as well, Gene, if you want to look into a deeper level of EFT. And I have found that it has been a crucial part of my healing journey. As a matter of fact, when I was first starting to do my podcast host, Jen Dragonette, she had a podcast episode of EFT. And I listened to that episode and did that every morning for a solid month before I started doing my podcast, just to break through the clog of having my voice being heard. And now I'm just getting confirmation after confirmation that channel, that storyteller channel that I found out in my human design reading. You got to listen. It's aligned by design. That episode breaks into my human design reading. And if you're into finding out what kind of blueprint your life, how you should be living your life to bring you the most joy and personal satisfaction, you got to find out your human design reading, and then find a reader that can help you, because it is deep dive worthy stuff, man. Like, it's just and for me, with my little skipping rock perception and lifestyle, I dipped into it enough that I was able to come out of it a brand new person. And so you can find out whatever level you want to be, but you'll need to know your location of birth, the town, you're going to know the date of birth, and you're going to need to know the time. And the time is very important because there can be different personality types and situations within a 24-hour period of a day. So it's important that, if you know early morning, that's better. But it is best if you can find the time of your birth. And when I had my reading, it really promoted to me that I need to approach things differently and to find out what lights me up. So this morning, when I was asking my crystal ball of TikTok to give me what I needed, I was given an EFT practice. And she was very clear that she only did the positive side instead of the dealing with the clog side, but it was exactly what I needed, because there was something that she said about that really struck me. And she said the word like lens, on what lens we look through, and that if our authentic self is our favorite part of ourselves, because that's where we feel the most ourselves, like I feel most alive. How often do we look through that lens on what we want in the world and who we are in the world and how we see the world and how we present ourselves? And this tapping session was all about being authentically myself. And that has been the one thing, the runaway bride moment. For in that movie, Richard Gere calls out Julia Roberts' character because she never knows what type of eggs she wants, because she always cameeled to the person that she was with instead of really standing up for who she was or what she was and making any declaration of how she wanted things. And I realized with that movie that, and the EFT tapping that she was talking about today, was that is my heart's desire, to live authentically myself, and to think that wearing costumes would be that. This is the second of 3 dress ups that I'll be doing in a 3-week period. I had the pinata for Halloween. I am the turkey for Thanksgiving for the fall run. And then on Monday, Wicked for Good, the premiere, is having an advanced screening for Amazon Prime members. And my girlfriend wanted to dress up for this. And because I love being green, I automatically volunteered to be Elphaba. And so we are going tomorrow night to see Wicked for Good in Bellingham, and we are going to be having a fantastic time, as I'm going to be green again. And it's just amazing on how this has become a portion of who I am. And I am a little nervous about it still. And I even had to get permission from the girl that I was with. I'm ashamed to say that I still, with my open heart center, I still needed validation that it was going to be okay to be myself. And one thing that made me realize I could shame myself about that, but I also made myself realize that I now surround myself with people that allow me to be whatever I need to be for me. that it was like, she goes, "You do you, boo." And she goes, "I need to step up next year. I'm going to do more." And I realize that I'm surrounding myself with people who love to do fun things and extra things. And I am very excited that I'm the type of person now that has fun friends. And I'm now the type of person who can be fun, because there was a script that I had playing in my brain for the longest time that I'm no fun. And I realized that that's what I'm missing in my life right now is fun and play. And I want more fun and play. And so this being dressed like a turkey or whatever I need to do to bring that out more is what I am now exploring. And that EFT session really gave me another little perspective as well, because it's amazing what lenses we put on. And I was thinking that if there are so many different ways that lenses can help us. They can bring things that are very far away closer to us. They can bring things that are close further away, and they can help us see better. They can also make things a lot worse. They can distort things horribly. And I have seen, even with reading, I've seen that just the simple change of color, changing a lens of rose or purple or blue or different colors like that, would automatically rest the eyes so that the words stop jumping on the paper. Lenses can be very, very, very helpful if we are using them to help us see better. But we can also keep a really keep a shitty prescription because it serves us. And I know that for a fact, because entire time during high school, I needed glasses to see distances. In especially in dusk or dawn, the words become very, very blurry. And as I've gotten older, the words have gotten a little blurrier. And so I refused, for vanity's sake, to wear glasses because they were ugly. And they were, this was also the 70s, and that frame of glasses looks really cool now for some people, but at that time it was just my hair and the glasses was very classic 70s, and no thank you. I just I never resonated with that movement, let's put it that way. So I've refrained from having glasses. I never started wearing glasses till I was in my 30s, maybe 40s, when I really needed them for driving per se, because I found that reading the signs was a necessary component to getting where I needed to go. So, but think about it though, for the sake of vanity, I decided to make my life more difficult by refusing to see things, making one small change to see better. And sometimes one of the things that I realized too, that we can put on lenses, other people's perspectives. And when we put that perspective on and look through that lens, sometimes we can forget that we actually have the lens on. And that we're seeing things through their lens instead of our own. And there was an interesting situation that happened to me in regards to this about lenses, because there is a girl that I work with, and I absolutely love her. She represents to me the areas where I feel I have to take control of things and protect myself, but in the way I'm protecting myself, I'm actually making things worse for myself. Instead of protecting myself from real danger, I'm creating danger so I can protect myself. And she has a real construed picture of our leadership at work. Now, I can see how she came to some of these decisions, but there's been zero attempt on her part to reconcile it with the management. And I understand that too. I've had that with management before, but it gets to, you have a certain lens on and that's it. And there was an email that came through, and there is one of our leadership team that she has the least amount of respect for, and she sent an email. The energy of the email was attempting to make them look bad, and I felt the energy. The only problem was is that the area that she was trying to make them look bad was the area of my job. And so I answered her back in a firm but polite email, as in to stay in your lane, and that I went to every length to make that better. The areas that I did drop the ball in, I was open and honest about and communicated those as well. But the only answer I got was okay, period. That was the response of the email. Terrible, terrible energy. And I'm like, oh no. Now, that combined with the lens of who and how she's been presenting herself through work and through other people and through myself, I had a lens on that I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was getting all this. I'm going to get into a discussion. There's going to be some kind of issue. It's kind of thing, all that kind of energy that makes you feel like you're just getting ready for some kind of zap, some kind of altercation or whatever. But then I realized that I'm going to take that lens off and just to see what manifests itself first, because she could have had a rough moment. She could have had a busy moment. She could have had anything. And I'm the one that's putting the lens on that I pissed her off. Now, it did appear that way because I had sent another email and there was no answer. Then there was something that came up personal for her where she needed some help with something. And both the leadership person and myself gave her exactly how we treat people and with kindness and grace, and she responded well. Needless to say, I had no idea that the next day I was going to run into her at this event that we had. And I am dressed like this. Of course, my face was brown. And when I saw her, I had no idea how I was going to react. I was kind of nervous at what lens. It's almost like I had all of this array of glasses on the table and I'm wondering which one to pick up. And I'm just sitting there thinking, you know what? I'm going to go lensless. I'm going to go authentically myself and just be through that lens only. I'm just going to be me and I'm going to present her as positively as possible and see what happens. Well, she saw me and it was the best expression ever, as in exactly how I would have ever wanted it to be. And I am so glad that I put the lens down. And I'm just thinking now, there was a lesson that I learned very early in my journey of getting over the what the fucks in my life is the blank page. And that blank page is a very difficult practice to put in. And the reason that it's difficult is because here's an example. This woman has a mountain of experience of being this certain way. And I was giving her the grace of being blank page as if nothing happened. Now, I understand that when you're with certain people in your life, if you've constantly been giving them blank pages and they're constantly shitting on you about that, then that is becoming a pattern. And that is something that needs to be addressed. But this is a first time situation with this woman. And it was an allowance of to see if maybe I was just carrying on something for the sake of me needing to carry it on for a story or something instead of seeing what actually transpired. Also, coming dressed like this, being super silly, if she is someone that resonates with that way, I was going to find that out too, I guess, without even knowing, because it was the best. It was so awesome to see her outside of work, to see her in that happy of a mood. We had an exceptional time and it was a great time all around, but that was only because I was able to give her the blank page. And that's where with the EFT tapping I got this morning, and maybe that's the message for you as well, is that the lens, she was saying that when I am authentically myself, that is when I am my favorite person, when I am the favorite version of myself. And how would I look at the world when I was at my favorite version of myself? That means that when I am in a situation where I am lovable, I am powerful, I am empowering, I am compassionate, I am funny, I am brilliant, I am resourceful, efficient, exceptional. And those things, I can say I'm the type of person who is all of those things, because and there are glimpses of it in my everyday. And that's why I love the I'm the type of person statement so much, because it actually allows you to milk those everyday boring things that we take for granted and look over. And here we are looking for these big moments of change, when really it is just about building ourselves up. If you look at a snowflake, yeah, one snowflake, whoopee shit, right? But all of a sudden, when you have a lot, how about one drop of water? Whoopee shit. But when you have a lot, how about one little whiff of wind? Whoopee shit. But when you have a lot, all of a sudden it starts, but it all starts with that little bit. And if you only do it once a year, well, that's one snowflake, whoopee shit. But if you do it every day and start training your reticular activated system to start proving you right in those things, then life can be a lot more fun. And that's what I'm interested in. I'm looking for putting the F in my shift. Put an F in my shit. I'm going to put some fun in there. The forgiveness to be able to give me the space. I've done that work where I've done the forgiveness and allow people to be themselves and really take their lenses off. Because that is what the problem is that I am looking through life through their lens. That's where the loser comes in. That's funny. Both of my t-shirts that are coming in today is that's where losers, because you're living out someone else's reality. It's like you have their RX, your prescription on of who you are, and what you're supposed to be doing. Because if you actually tore away all of your story, that where you were born, who you